to today's webinar. Good morning. I would like to get feedback from everybody. Good morning.
Morning.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Damilare. Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have. Good. Okay. Has everyone responded?
Good morning.
Yeah. Okay. So just take this opportunity to test your microphone to know if it's working. All right. Thank you so much for joining in today. We are glad to have you here. We are going to kick off right away as time is not really on our side. Welcome once again. So my name is Damilare. I'll be in your faces for a moment. Then I introduce the moderators and then the panelists, and then we kick off. Is that fine?
Yes.
Yeah, sounds like it, man.
Yes, that's fine.
Yes, it's fine.
Okay. I just need to be sure my network is not messing with me. Okay, so give me a moment while I introduce everybody here on board. Sorry, my apologies. I'm having some technical difficulties here. I will do this shortly. All right, so today in our midst, we have a couple of important people here. While as I introduce, I mean, everyone is important, obviously, but today we are going to be having professionals that will give us insights on the topic at hand. And I'm going to introduce each one of them, each of the panelists today. And first, I would like to say thank you guys for tuning in and joining in to share your thoughts, your insights, and your experience on the matter. Thank you so much. We are very pleased to have you, and we are ready to learn from your wealth of knowledge. Okay, the first panelist we have is, please, before, let me just put a disclaimer before we go ahead. Just forgive me if I murder your name. I'm Nigerian, and so I'll have maybe some difficulties pronouncing some of our names, but please forgive me as we proceed. Okay, so we have Wangala Wale. She's a seasoned researcher specializing in qualitative research methods with 6 years of experience, and she holds an undergraduate degree in environmental education and a Master of Science in Global Health. She has worked on numerous studies, including diverse population across various community settings, organizations, and health facilities. Please, if Ms. Ngwangwala is on board, please can you greet everyone, say your good mornings, and please, you can pronounce your name again, just in case I murdered it.
Okay, my name is pronounced Mwangala.
Mwangala, great.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you. Thank you so much. Okay, the next panelist is a tech professional with over a decade long career leading IT infrastructure initiative in both commercial and non-profit sectors. He is passionate about corporate social responsibility and sustainability in technology and innovation. Please help me welcome Mr. Ismail Olaniyan. Sir, if you are here, please give us a happy good morning.
Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon from whatever part of the world you are tuning in from. And it's a great pleasure to be here today. I look forward to a very exciting session, and I welcome everybody and welcome my fellow panelists as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Good to have you, sir. Thank you so much. All right. The next panelist is an assistant lecturer at Walim Yere Memorial Academy and a PhD candidate researching international business in emerging African economies. So our work focuses on how African multinational enterprises uses sustainability to drive inclusive growth and implement the My apologies, guys. Can you all hear me? My network just went off. Can we still hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, so sorry. My network just disconnected. My apologies. Okay, I was introducing Messier from Messier. I don't know if we heard our profile, but let me just go right again. So the next panelist is Messier Williams Kamihanda. She's an assistant lecturer at Walim Yeren Memorial Academy and a PhD candidate researching international business in emerging African economies. Our work focuses on how African multinational enterprises use sustainability to drive inclusive growth and implement the sustainable development goals. Please help me welcome Messier William into the, the webinar today. Please, Messier, if you can hear me, please, we would like to hear a hearty good morning from you or afternoon.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm in Morocco. It's morning here. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to learn more and to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, can you pronounce your name again properly? I know I murdered it somewhere.
You got it right. Messiet.
Oh,
Messiet. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so the next panelist is the VP of Product and Engineering at Zest, which is a Stanbic IBTC Bank holding extension. Is a seasoned product leader in 11 years of Guaranteed Trust Bank. She holds a BSc and MBA from the University of Lagos and a product management certificate from Singapore Management University. She is passionate about tech-driven financial solutions and supports women's empowerment and education initiative. Can we all welcome Ifeoluwa Adekunle? Please, if you're here, if you can hear me or if you heard what I just introduced, please, I don't know if she's around. Ifeoluwa
Hello.
Adekunle. Okay. Good to have you.
Yes, so
Please.
happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good morning. Good to see you. Ifeoluwa Adekunle Yusuf. Yeah, I forgot to add the Yusuf. All right. Sunday Adewale Olaleye is a not finished now, Finnish from Finland, basically. Finnish certified teacher and senior lecturer at JAMB University of Applied Sciences, Finland. He holds a Doctor of Science in Marketing from the University of Oulu and has various degrees from Abo Adekemi University. Abo Academy University, Lapland University, and the University of Washington. He is a visiting scholar at the University of Texas at Houston and a visiting professor at UDLAP in Mexico. Sunday has taught, my apologies, at multiple levels, presented at conferences, published in journals, and co-founder DailyNet OI. He has received several international funding awards and recognition. Please, can we celebrate greatness as we welcome Mr. Sunday Olaleye? Good morning, sir. Are you here on board with us, sir?
Good morning. Hello, everyone. Thanks for the
Good to have you.
invitation. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning, sir. All right, and finally, the last but not least, we have in our midst a corporate trader in Forex and commodities at Atijari Wafa Bank Group. In this dynamic role, she has sharpened her market analysis and negotiation skills, positioning herself as a rising star in financial industry. She has a master's degree in corporate finance and has hosted numerous impactful webinars and roundtables on various economic and social issues. Please welcome Kenza Ben Habib. Good morning, Kenza Ben Habib. If you're here, please, we'd like to hear a happy cheer from you. Kenza, are you here with us? Okay. All right, if she isn't here yet, we'll move on. All right, so finally, I would like to introduce the moderator for today. And this is where my job would stop. Can we all hear me? Is everybody still on board? Can we hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. All right, so today we have a writer, a researcher, a literary enthusiast. He holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Lagos. Sorry, a BA from the University of Lagos and FMVA from the Corporate Finance Institute, and is pursuing an MBA at the Quantic Schools of Business and Technology. His nonfiction was recognized by the LGBY Prize and longlisted for the Punocracy Prize, which, my apologies, sorry, I'm ordering some of these qualifications, Mr. Tunji. His journalism was shortlisted for the PUC Media Excellence Award in 2023, formerly a business correspondent from Punch newspaper. Sami is now a financial analyst at Nairametrics and an African Liberty Writing Fellow 2023 of 2024. Please help me welcome our lead moderator for today, Mr. Sami Tunji. Can we hear a happy cheer from you or a happy good morning, Mr. Sami Tunji, if you're here?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Damilare, for the introduction. Well done. It's a pleasure to be here. So I might take over immediately, or do you still want to give a few
No, you
opening remarks?
can carry over the webinar immediately. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. This will be our
Thank you very
pilot
much.
for today, Mr. Sami. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of our exchange. So let me just start with a quick introduction. The mobile money revolution is disrupting established banking in Africa. And Fintech, Paytech, startup have penetrated a number of countries, including Kenya, Nigeria, Egypt, South Africa, and the likes. The COVID-19 pandemic led to more e-commerce, kind of accelerated digitalization of African banking and financial services. Between 2020 and 2021, the number of tech startups in Africa tripled to around 5,200 companies, according to McKinsey, and about half of that number are fintechs. Sub-Saharan Africa remains the global epicenter of mobile money, with about 763 registered accounts, almost half of all registered accounts globally, according to GSMA. In 2022, the number of new registered accounts in the region jumped by, I think, about 109 million, which is about 59% of active new accounts worldwide. Now, the region accounts for over half of the global accounts active on a monthly basis, with about 2.3 billion transacted per day. It accounts for 2/3 of all mobile money transactions globally. Mobile payment services such as Kenya's M-Pesa, which started as a microloan, and OPay, Nigerian OPay, have expanded across the continent. However, while Kenya and Ghana has extremely high mobile money uptake, I think about 87% and 82% of GDP, respectively, transacted via mobile money in 2021. Most African countries are still under-penetrated, around 5% of their GDP transacted via mobile money. This creates a massive opportunity for mobile money growth. Also, despite the profitability of banks in Africa, it is estimated that around 360 million adults in the region do not have access to any form of bank accounts. That's roughly about 17% of total global unbanked population. And one of the underlying problems for financial inclusion in the continent is low urbanization rates. Cash is king in Africa. Over 90% of payment and transactions are made via cash. Building a digital financial ecosystem for African unbanked population with unbanked. And with me, I have lovely panelists today, and it's a pleasure that I'll be engaging you guys. The introduction has been done already by Damilare, so we'll just go straight to the points. And I'll be starting first with Maziet. Maziet, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so yeah, your expertise lies in the intersection between international business and achieving sustainable development goals in Africa. So let's just kickstart with, what do we mean when we say unbanked population? Just give us a kind of brief introduction on the concept of unbanked population, then situate it within the context of Africa.
Thank you so much, sir. So when you say unbanked population or banked population, we are talking about the concept of financial inclusion. So the concept of financial inclusion means that the majority or all of the people in the community or in the country or in the continent have access to financial services and financial products. Yes.
Okay.
So now we are talking about those marginalized groups, those who are in the rural areas, the women and the people of special groups. When all of them have access to financial services and products, then you can say that now the community of the South is banked, or there is financial inclusion. And this is very important, especially in Africa, because look, when they have access to financial services, or when the community or the country is financially included, that means that they will be having the opportunity to do saving through maybe mobile money. They can do saving, they can get soft loans, they can do They can be able to engage themselves in entrepreneurship, which later can lead to decrease in poverty in the community. So this is very important. For example, I am from Tanzania, and in Tanzania, mobile money is taking over. Like it is very, very taking over. Majority of the people, maybe I can say 60% or more, even 70% maybe, are using mobile money. And these days, there are even government organizations, such as one of the government unity funds, it calls UTT AMISI, is allowing people to use their mobile money, mobile banking system to do the saving, to save. So through those savings, then they can save for the education of their children. Then even banks these days are allowing people to borrow. They can get soft loans through mobile money services or through mobile banking. And this, I see it as a revolution in our continent, because it allows those people who are in rural areas, they can't open like credit card, they can't open the real bank account, but they can access mobile money or mobile banking. And through that, they can access loans, they can do saving for their children, for the education. They can engage themselves in entrepreneurship. And this is important in reducing poverty. It is also important in bringing inclusive economic development or economic growth in our community. So this is very important, I can say.
Thank you very much, Merciet. Thank you for that, setting the stage for further discussion. Now let me go to Mwangala. Mwangala, can you hear me? Hello, Mwangala, are you there? Okay, I'm not sure she's with us. Mwangala, anytime you can, you are active, you can just say hello. While we wait for Mwangala, let me speak briefly with Ishmael. Now, with your background, what would you say are method and information strategies that can be employed to protect the unbanked population from financial fraud in the mobile sector? In fact, fraud is like a reigning thing now. It has been a long time thing with the Yahoo, what should I call it now? Existing currently. Young people are susceptible to fraud easily, especially maybe uneducated people in the rural areas. So in what ways do you think, what method and information strategy can be deployed to protect these people from financial fraud in this area of growing fintech and mobile money?
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. You've touched on a couple of the concerns with providing mobile money services to the largely unbanked population. And the importance of getting these services to the unbanked population cannot be overemphasized. I mean, Messier has spoken a lot on the unbanked population and the mobile services offered to them. You rightly said literacy levels and the rural demography is largely responsible for some of the concerns with mobile money and other financial services, offered to the unbanked population. But from the social perspective, let's look beyond the technology. Let's look beyond the risks that come with the use of technology in providing these services. So let's take a delve into this, so some of the social things that come with the use of these services. We are talking about a population that may be largely language and computer illiterate. And we are also talking about underserved and maybe marginalized community who may not even have enough information on how to protect themselves from fraud, from information abuse and all that. So I think a good place to start would be to address the social part first, which would largely border around educating this population. Before everything went very digital, back in the days, you would have vans from the Ministry of Information or orientation agencies across different African countries would go down to rural areas in huge vans with speakers and disseminate information on basic things, on government policies, right? And the advent of technology has limited that reach. The rural community seems to have been forgotten. They have been caught up by the technology divide. So if we go back to some of these social practices, which borders very much around the sustainability thing that we are talking about, right? On getting this population, educating them on how to protect their information, on the implications of the abuse of information they may suffer, and also engaging community leaders, right? Community leaders like traditional leaders, religious leaders in the community to help disseminate some of this information, in gatherings and all that. So, and having the simplicity of the language of communication is also very important. I'm sure many of us have seen the fine print from retail bank accounts. There's so many hidden clauses. There are so many things that even the largely educated person would need a lot of time to go through, or maybe seek some legal advice on interpreting some of those things. But when we are passing information to the unbanked population, it would make a lot more sense to make it, concise and straight to the point, and make this population understand how to protect themselves from, fraud, from information abuse, from identity theft, and all that. And finally, I believe there should be a lot of collaborative effort between regulators, between the regulatory bodies, the mobile money service providers, and the community at large, on forging the best way to address some of these problems, and information sharing among the different stakeholders. That's my submission.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ishmael. Thank you. Before I proceed, I want to say that if you, for those listening to us, if you have any questions, you can type in the chat box, and also specify if your question is for a particular panelist or for all of them to answer. So if you have any question, please type in the chat box and we'll pick it up as we proceed. And I think Mwangala is back with us. Hello, Mwangala.
Hi.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here with us. So, a quick question for you. Your research focuses on healthcare access in rural communities. Can you paint a kind of picture for us on the daily financial realities faced by individuals in this area? How do they currently manage their money? What are the biggest barriers they face in accessing financial limitations? What are the issues with access to mobile technology and mobile money and for people within the rural areas? Can you just share some quick insight with us, please?
Okay. First of all, thanks for having me. I'm so grateful to be here and happy to share and to learn as well. So for people in rural areas, they are faced with challenges. Not to say that there are no challenges in the urban area, but some of the challenges are distinct. I'll talk about income variability. In some of the places that I've worked in or lived in at one time or another, you find that their income revolves around their activities. Maybe it's fishing or agriculture. And here in Zambia, we have a fish ban. So there are certain months in the year where there's just a fish ban and nobody is allowed to fish. So that becomes a challenge for them to make money because they can't trade like that anymore. And they are specialized fishermen, they are specialized fisherwomen or fish sellers, And right now, I'll speak a lot about Zambia because I'm in Zambia and from Zambia, so I know a lot about the perspective here. Right now in Zambia, we have a drought. And so that means that agriculture yields and produce is very low. And so these are some of the challenges that are faced in the rural areas. So there's this issue of income variability. And so people don't have money like all the time. maybe they have money when it's time to harvest and to sell. So that's the time that they have money. But now when we have challenges like drought, when we have challenges, like the fish ban and other economic challenges that we are facing here in Zambia currently, that becomes a challenge that is faced by them financially. So the little money that they have, maybe they'll use it for transport, or if health issues come up, and things like that. So yeah, there's income variability. And then I also want to talk about the social isolation. So in the rural areas, earlier this week, I was in a rural area, and you find that these areas are secluded from a lot of enterprises, right? And so there's certain opportunities that don't get to them. When you come to the urban areas, maybe for women or men, they could easily become like a domestic worker for someone maybe in the suburbs or anything like that. But that side, nobody's going to hire them, even if they want to, to use those skills. So they face challenges like that. Like, just how are they going to make the money? Where are they going to make the money from? So there's things like that. And then how some of them are managing their money. There's something called, I'll use local language and I'll try to translate. It's called silk in some areas. In some areas, it's called chilimba, but it's like a revolving fund where maybe you have like 10 people. And so this month or this week, we use kwacha here. You give a few kwachas to this person, and then the following month, they give these kwachas to that person. So you find that's how they are managing their money. That's how they are keeping the money in circulation, so that the person doesn't have the money, use all the money. So they are, a little bit of those things. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Umagala. I think the example you gave is also in Nigeria. I think it's called Ajo, something like that. Like, yeah, group of people gather together, save money, just turn by turn. We'll pick. Maybe this month I'll be the one to pick. Next month, and that person will be the one to pick. So yes, it's fascinating how despite being in different countries, there's still that intercultural financial habits in Africa. So thank you for that. To Dr. Sunday, it's a pleasure having you. Now, earlier, Mr. Ishmael spoke about method and information strategies to protect the unbanked population from financial fraud. Now, I saw in the comment section, Erin mentioned the use of town crier. I don't know how effective that is to pass across information to rural areas. So what would you say it's likely the most relevant or most effective strategies to promote digital financial services in unbanked area? I remember Mr. Ishmael mentioned role of Ministry of Information, NOA, National Orientation Agency, and the likes. But from your background, what would you say are the most effective strategies? Also, as an aside, would you say enough information or enough awareness is being done at the moment to protect this set of people in the rural areas?
Thank you very much, Mr. Tuji. I think I agree with all what my colleagues have said earlier. And I'm happy that I've lived in the village before. So I understand. Because the issue now is not all about the urban people. They are more educated. They have more mobile phone penetration. They have more internet penetration. But there's some remote area, for example, in my home country, Nigeria, that you can get lost. That people will not be able to, navigator cannot work there. It's not possible. So we are looking at these people now, this set of people. How can we promote mobile money to them? It's a little bit complex because if we want to use our lingua franca, it's very easy that we say we speak English to everybody, everybody understands English. A country that is very complex like Nigeria, where we have multi languages, It's going to take us a lot of serious strategy to be able to address this issue. But I want us to start from the problem. We started publishing about mobile money in 2018. And the first paper, I remember we discovered that the challenge that people have, the enablers of mobile money, is social influence. So because we find ourselves in a communal community, unlike the people in diaspora that they are individualistic. Now, if we are communal in nature and we want to use social influence, in our days, the best way is to go through social media. Some people, they don't have social media, they don't understand what it is, and they don't have social media page. They don't even know what you are talking about. So how can we come to their level? It means that we will need to have a reverse engineering so that we can check if it is possible to translate what we have presently now into individual local languages. We'll be able to help them that way. People are afraid of security, privacy, they have anxiety, they have challenge with cost. That is what we discover in our research, that people were afraid that this also, it may cost us more. And we need to address all these issues in our promotion. So whatsoever promotion we want to do, we need to address all these issues. The easiest way to go about this promotion is to use mobile phone because it's ubiquitous. Almost everybody have it. I was shocked when I was checking this morning and I saw that it is more than 90% mobile phone users that we have in Nigeria. We have this figure on the internet, but in reality, it's not working. Why? Most of the people, they are using fake Chinese products, and they have this phone, it gets spoiled from time to time, and they have important information on their phone, like my colleague mentioned about security issue. So they have this important information on their phone. They don't even know how to back up their information, talk less of transferring it to the new phone they may be having at a point in time. So it's a very complex situation, but the easiest way is just to use what they are used to. So when one of the listener mentioned town crier, I was just laughing. If that will solve the problem, why not? If that is the only thing that will help them to understand the meaning of mobile money in Yoruba, in Igbo, in Hausa, in English, let us try it and let us see how far we can go. But I will suggest that we can digitalize town crier. We can digitalize town crier, what he will say, we can integrate that into the mobile phone that everybody is holding, and they can be listening to it all over and all over again until this message sink into them. So education that my colleague have mentioned is the major thing that we will revolve around today in our discussion, because the beginning of failure starts with ignorance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The beginning of failure starts with ignorance. Ah, something to think about. Thank you very much, Dr. Sunday. Hello, Ifeoluwa. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. So with your years of experience in the banking sector, what would you say are the challenges and opportunities in developing digital financial products for the unbanked markets? Remember earlier in my introduction, I said that there were, I think, about 360 million unbanked population in Africa. So what would you say are the challenges? Why do we still have such a huge number? And what are the opportunities for developing digital financial products?
Okay, thank you, Sammy. So, based on experience and the lessons I've learned so far, talking about challenges, I think the major challenge is building trust, right? There's often a mistrust of formal financial institutions, and that's because these people have had maybe previous negative experiences or lack of familiarity. with the products that they are being advertised, that are being advertised. And there are also some barriers like local languages, which I believe can be localized, as Sunday has mentioned. Another challenge that I've noticed is the cost of financial service, right? There is a very high level of price sensitivity when it comes to rural areas, or people that are not financially included. So I also believe that affordability is a major challenge amongst consumers. With this in mind, we have to ensure that we provide affordable, very affordable service to gain the penetration required in this sector, right? Literacy, financial literacy cannot be overemphasized. That is one very key thing, right? Because many unbanked individuals, they don't even understand the product that is being sold to them. They don't understand, they also need to understand these products. They need to know what the opportunities are in using this product and how it can be beneficial to them, right? Now, talking about opportunities, I see a lot of opportunities with collaboration with local businesses, NGOs, community leaders, traditional rulers, and all of that. This would help build trust, right, amongst the unbanked, and also facilitate the adoption of financial services. Also developing products, right, products that cater to the specific needs and context of this unbanked population will drive their engagement and their usage. So take for instance, if I really get involved, if I try to know their pain points and then I come up with a product, right, that fits or provides a solution to the problem they're having, of course the adoption rates will be high, right? Like I said, we have to have that genuine interest. It's not just all about making money. We have to have that genuine interest in what we're able to do to give them the proper solution. Then there's also the mobile penetration. Thankfully, it's getting better over the years. And I see that as another unique opportunity, like the other panelists have mentioned, to reach the unbanked through mobile banking and payment solutions. Well, according to Statista, the number of smartphone users, I would be specific, about Nigeria alone was forecasted to continually increase between 2024 and 2029 by a total of 101.7 million users. That's like a growth of over 120%. So I would say these are the things I've learned from the challenges and opportunities that I've, experienced. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Ifelua. Although I think it was breaking at certain points, so I could not get a number of things you said towards the end. But I don't know if it's just on my end. Anyway, thank you very much. But just as a follow-up question, I remember you mentioned at the point the need to tailor financial products to meet the needs of, I think, the consumer. So we know the issue of gender inequality, especially in Africa, and the struggles around it. So how do you think digital financial solution can be tailored to better serve and empower women in African unbanked communities? Just as a follow-up to what you said earlier.
Okay, so the first thing, right, I would say regular user testing and feedback, right? I would not want to come up with a product when I'm not engaging actively, or when I'm not really interested in the people that are going to use it. I cannot be selling financial inclusion products or mobile money products in Lagos, for instance, because that is a city, right? I have to go to the rural areas. I have to go to where I have a concentration of unbanked people to know what their pain points are. Some of them need access to micro loans. Some just need, funds for their petty businesses, which is really not a lot. So it's also to, have like specific understanding their pain points is very key. If you're able to get that right, speak to them in their local languages, localized communication, we'll be able to come up with, something really specific that fits their unique needs to drive adoption.
Okay. That I think the network, there was a break in transmission somewhere. But thank you very much, Ifeoluwa. Thank you very much for the insights. Before I get to the questions in the comment section, a quick question for Dr. Sunday. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, please. I'm with you.
So, from your experience in the academia, what do you see technology startup? What role do you see technology startup playing in the development of comprehensive digital financial ecosystem in Africa?
Yeah, they are very, very important. They make life easier for us, and they break the monopolistic power of the existing system. They create opportunity for us to have access to products that meet our need, as my colleague just mentioned. So they came into the scene with disruption and innovation. For example, we have Revolut. If we want to transfer money, we need to go through bank system. A lot of charges. It takes days before the money can get to the recipient. But Revolut just came into the scene and they changed the terrain of financial transaction, and they turned things around. What they did is that you send money through your mobile phone, and within less than 1 minute, the recipient can testify that he has the money. And apart from that, the platform itself is so user friendly that it is very easy for people to work on their phone. So something like this is very, very important. What people need is that they need a service that is on one platform where they can have access to everything they need at a press of a button. This usability is one of the things we discover in one of the research we carry out in Nigeria, that the mobile money system then was so cumbersome and people find it so difficult to navigate. So this simplicity is one of the good things they brought to us through innovation. So they make financial services to be more accessible, to be more affordable, and to be more efficient. So they did that for us. And we have a lot of cases. Flutterwave also, they are doing very well. So they help also to bridge the gap between the gap in financial inclusion. For example, the gap between the urban and the rural people. They try to bridge the gap. What they do now is that at least if the people in the rural people are not educated, they have some of their children that educated, they have to wait for them to return from school or to travel to them during the weekend to help them to do their financial transaction. So this is one of the gaps also that we will need to bridge in the future. So there are a lot of things they brought into the scene. They brought partnership and collaboration also. You will see that we can't stand alone in this financial domain. It's a very complex business sector that involves a lot of professionals and experts. So because of that, they put people together to give us a robust platform that will help us in the future. For example, Fori, the Egyptian Fintech, they partner with banks and telecom companies. And we know that in Nigeria also that some of these Fintech, they partner with telecom, they partner with banks in order to make life easier for the rural people. When I was in Mexico, we wrote a paper on MPOS, mobile point of sale, because that is what they are using in Mexico. And you just need to insert your card, very easy and very seamless. Because the challenge we should look at today, as we are discussing about all this issue, is how can we promote a cashless society? we have crowd, huge population, and people lost their properties, they lost their money. How can we minimize it? In Finland, we cash left and cashless at 90%. People don't move around with cash. You can't get money lost and you'll be found another person money on the street. It is very rare. So everybody, they use their card, they do everything online. And he said, we want to contribute money. And they said, I'm sorry, give me the bank account because I don't deal with cash. So we need to look at that also, because if we are keeping money in the house, especially for the people in the rural area, they suffer to get that money. And when they have labored so hard to get the wealth, one night somebody will just cash away all what they have labored for so long. So we need to look at the way to promote that. So the technology can help us to accomplish many things, and we can use technology also to promote literacy and trust that my colleague mentioned. That is possible. But the area of AI now, there are a lot of things we can do. So in this way, we need more emerging technologies to take mobile money to the next level, because the limitation of the mobile money now is that they are the transaction stage. They only do save money, cash out money. They don't think of other products that can help the unbanked people to get to their next level. So these are the things I think the startup can do. Apart from that, now there is cooperation between the higher institution and the companies. That is another thing that we should promote in Africa. We are doing less in that aspect, and it means a lot. So we can partner with the university as a startup.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Sunday. So just as a follow-up question, data from the Central Bank of Nigeria shows that about over 90% of currency in circulation is outside the banking sector. So what do you think is pushing more Nigerians to keep cash outside bank or to keep cash at home, to hold cash? What do you think is the main issue in Nigeria? Why cash seems to be king? More Nigerians are keeping cash out of the banking sector. Is this something you can comment on quickly?
Yeah, quickly. I will do it very fast. Number one is greed. Number two, the most of the money. Yes. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Number one is greed. Most of the money, some of the people, they are not confident that they cannot trace the root of their money. So it will be very difficult to keep such money in the banking sector. I saw the electronic invoicing, which is going to expose many things, but we are yet to adopt it fully in Nigeria. So that is one of the reasons. Number two, some people do not want the public to know their worth. So they are living secretive life, and ignorance and illiteracy also contribute to it. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you. That was brief and sweet. Thank you very much. Dear panelists, you can also check the chat box in case there are any questions you feel like answering. You can type in the chat box or just let me know. Thank you very much. Now to Mr. Ishmael. Earlier, Dr. Sunday mentioned that the financial product or financial services is a complex business sector that requires a lot of experts, and some financial products are kind of cumbersome to work on. So, but now let's look at the ethical aspect of it. There are concerns about data protection, data privacy, protection against fraud and the likes. Put in place when building infrastructure for the unbanked population? That's from Mr.
Thank you very much for that interesting question. The beauty of infrastructure setup for the banking industry generally is that many of these systems are centralized. You have the NIBS, for example, that manages interbank transfer and all that. has a central infrastructure that all the banks, key into. And as such, you don't need ICT infrastructure localized in those communities that are underbanked. But with that being said, Dr. Sunday mentioned something about MPOS, mobile POS, which many of us will agree, especially the Nigerian panelists and listeners, that it is, gaining a lot of popularity and use in Nigeria. You find mobile POS operators, mostly in the suburbs and in the urban areas, right? And many of these services are starting, to get to the rural and the largely unbanked population as well. So we would consider those devices or those setups as part of the ICT infrastructure as well. And these are devices that transmit data, not necessarily collect data. They manage data in transmission. So for the central infrastructure, many policies, largely the Nigerian data protection law, has addressed many of the ethical issues regarding the central infrastructure, for example, on data localization, on how critical data for Nigeria must be hosted in country and all that, yeah? But for the, I would say, edge devices that would, like the mobile POS and all that, there are many technologies that can address, issues around ethical, the ethics, issues around privacy, issues around security. So you have mobile device management systems, for example, that can be installed or deployed on these devices that can manage their locations, remote data wipe, for example, if those devices are missing, because they are devices that, like I said, transmit data. So things like this mobile device management address the technological part, the privacy part, the security part. Some of these things can, address the ethical part of handling, personal data, right? But with that being said, we also need to go back to the social part. Like, for me, I'm very, very, very interested in the social implications of some of these things, and my responses are going to hinge a lot on social things. Yeah. So we also need to consider things like power balance, equality. Our society in Africa is so we have gender roles. Let me put it that way. It's a very sensitive conversation, but it is what it is. In Africa, it's a big thing. So things like a particular gender needs to get the permission of, maybe wives need to get permission of their husbands before they can enroll into some certain services and all that. And the nuances and sensitivities of some of the location of some of these services in our communities, right? You have in certain communities, you have, people practice different religions, for example. You have some communities, some local government that have multiple languages. Some communities are not necessarily in good terms with others, right? And we want to deploy mobile POS to such communities. So things about equity, things about breaking that power balance. We should be careful of not citing services in places where some minority members of the community will not be able to access. So all these things also form very important parts of the ethical part of providing ICT infrastructure and the mobile money and financial inclusion services generally in underserved communities. But like I said earlier, privacy, security, and data management have been largely addressed by existing laws that would just require some sort of enforcement and educating, the community on how they can better protect themselves and take advantage of existing regulations to protect themselves in case their data is not properly handled or their data is being used without consent or not handled confidentially. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. That was very, very detailed. Thank you very much. Hello, Mwagala. Are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. So now let's situate the mobile money revolution in the health sector. So do you think that mobile money or the lack of mobile money technology or access, that means the word access, may hinder us access to healthcare services for rural people in rural locations across Africa? Also, what specific insight can you provide from your research that shows a kind of connection between availability of mobile money services and access to healthcare services?
Okay, thanks for the question. So here's the thing. Like I mentioned, I'll provide a lot of Zambian context. So in Zambia, healthcare by and large is free, but there are important procedures or tests like imaging and all those things that require somebody to pay. So because these people are unbanked and usually they just have cash, right? And something like sickness, those things just happen. Anytime somebody could fall sick or would need to go to the hospital. So if there's no money that they've kept somewhere, because mobile banking provides a platform for saving, right? It provides a platform for somebody to have some money somewhere that they keep, as opposed to just having money in cash. I'm not sure about the audience that we have here today, as well as the panelists. If you keep money in cash, like just sitting in the house somewhere, I don't, because that tends to liquid money and it's easy to use money like that. And so when we look at people in the rural setup, keeping the little money that they have like that is not very safe and very sustainable, because they end up using it anyhow. And so where there is mobile money, where there are mobile money facilities, it's easy for them to go and withdraw. It's easy to call a relative maybe that's not there with them to say, send some money, and then they're able to withdraw that money right there and then. And that money, like I said, could be for labs, for tests, or for medicine that is not there in the pharmacy, right? But where there is no mobile money and there is no money that has been saved up somewhere, it poses a challenge. It poses a challenge because look at this woman, for example, over 32, 34 weeks, and she goes into premature becomes critical for emergency medications that could not be there, and the lack of it could delay access to important procedures, important tests, important medications that could better help. It provides the platform for personal healthcare savings. In Zambia recently, they introduced what is it called? It's called NIMA. It's health insurance. And so health insurance helps people to access different health services. And I'm not sure if it's on mobile money yet. I don't think so. But without that saving, without that money there, then there is a barrier, right? But over and above, it does impact healthcare somehow, because to some extent, not all things are free. And there's also, like I mentioned, emergency procedures, emergency illnesses, and mobile money could provide an option or a platform for access of emergency funds for healthcare. Thank you.
Thank you, Mwagala. Just a quick follow-up question. You mentioned how keeping cash at home can lead to unnecessary spending, especially for those in rural areas. You mentioned the example of a woman wanting to give birth and not having enough funds for transport and they have to walk. Now, let's use a scenario where there's no public network services in the rural community. There's no bank within the community. How can such a community have access to probably, let's assume, mobile money services where there's no network? Probably they don't even have a telephone. So what do you think? How can that gap be bridged to?
I think that the mobile service providers need to go an extra step and reach rural communities. I mentioned that I was in a rural community a few days ago, and there's literally no network there. You literally cannot make a call. So that poses a challenge as well. And I think there is need for engagement. There is need for mobile service providers to come up hither, if I would call it that way. You know, they need to come up and step up to the plate and extend the network, extend where they are. Like right now, I think I keep having network interruptions, and that poses a challenge. You know, in Zambia right now, like I said, there's drought, and some of the impact of drought is that so there's a lot of load shedding. So there are all those things that come to play. And so if somebody told me today that I'd rather keep my money in the home for emergency sake, I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't blame them because although that has its cons, but then when we look at where we are standing, maybe let me say Zambia. I don't know the countries where you are, how the rural setup is, if you have electricity there, if you have network there. So there are all these challenges that are at play that needs to be sorted out if mobile banking is going to be effective, if these technological banking services are going to be effective in the rural areas. Yeah.
Thank you, Magala. Thank you very much. Hello, Meziat. Are you still with us?
Yes, I can hear
Hello,
you.
Meziat. Are you still there?
Yes,
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, SDG1 is about poverty eradication.
yeah.
So my question is how financial inclusion, particularly for the unbanked population, can contribute towards achieving sustainable development goals in Africa.
Right. Thank you so much. So financial inclusion, in my own perspective, I think it plays a great role when it comes to achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. For example, SDG1, as you have said, it is about poverty reduction or zero poverty, no poverty. Yeah. So, for example, when the community or the site is financially included, as I said before in the introduction, this means that they'll be able to do the saving, they'll be able to get a loan, they'll be able to, in this way, you know, when they are financially included, when they are banked, it will be easy to reduce poverty from the family level or from the roots. Because the main problem why poverty is persistent in African countries, in most of African countries, is because we are trying to fight the problem from the top, from the leaves of the tree. We are failing to know that poverty is actually down the root. So if we want to fight poverty, we have to go down the root at the family level and fight poverty from the family level, especially from the village communities, which comprises, because in most of the countries in Africa, you may find that at least 50% or 60% of the population live in villages. These, especially in the past year. These days, many people are moving to towns, but still, we still have a lot of population who live in the village, in the rural areas. And these are the communities, the population which comprises of the most of the people, and most of them are unbanked. So if we are to reduce poverty or to fight, for example, to meet SDG 1, zero poverty, banking or financial inclusion will play a great role. If we make them financially included from the village level, from the family level, means to be easy to fight poverty. They'll be engaged in entrepreneurship, they'll be doing businesses because they have financial, maybe at least mobile banking. They can get loans, soft loans from the mobile banking. They can do entrepreneurship and they can get income and fight poverty from the family level, which will go higher and higher and bring up to zero poverty at the country level. So not only SDG 1, but also other SDGs, for example, education, which is SDG number 4. If the community is financially included, for example, the person is able to save for the education of the children. So means when it is time for them to go to school, they already have money saved at the account, junior accounts, or even if it is mobile banking, but they put it aside for the education of the children. So it will be easy now to get good education for the children, and which is the CDG number 4, but also CDG number 5, for example, which is about gender equality. One of the programs, especially in my community, Tanzania, in village areas, one of the problems why women are suffering violence from men and all that. One of the main challenges because they are poor, they don't have access to income, they don't have access to money. So everything that is concerned with the banking system and money is for the man. And the woman is there just as a dependent, that's it. So if we can, or if these startups and financial institutions, and even these mobile banking systems, if they can succeed to make these women in the rural areas banked or financially included, it will be, a stepping stone to contribute to decreasing this violence to women and can bring about gender equality in my own perspective. And even more and more and more, we can go further to SDG number 10, which is reduced inequality, gender inequality in the income. Maybe at least 80% of income is treated balance when it comes to financial, when it comes to inequality. It will reduce inequality in the sense that at least to bring about equality means the gap between the poor and the rich can be reduced if the community is financially included or banked. That's it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Maziet. Thank you very much. So quickly, let's look at some of the questions in the chat box. By the way, Maduo, if you are still here, can you a bit clarify on what you mean by overcompliance of banking institutions? I'm not sure what you're trying to say is very clear. So hopefully if you can clarify, if Elua will be able to speak on that. Or if Elua, let me read out the question. Maybe you understand what she's trying to say. If not, hopefully she can clarify. She asked, can we also talk about the overcompliance of banking institutions? Do you kind of get what she's trying to say, or you want her to kind of explain further in the chat box?
Yes. Yes, so I believe what she's trying to say is it has to do with the regulators, right? Maybe the regulatory aspect is too tight. Maybe they can soften it a little bit. But I also know that I'm going to speak about Nigeria, please permit me, right? That the local regulators too have come up with tiering of accounts. So today you can actually open an account with just the phone number, and you have access to financial services with that which is a tier one account. And then if you feel you want to do more, you can always, upgrade and do all of that with your BVN and your NIN and then your regulatory ID card. So I also believe that it depends on the scope of or the scope of the transactions that would be done on that account. I also believe that the regulators are also taking part in this financial inclusion, ensuring that things like BVN registration, NIN registration are part of their penetration activities to the rural areas. So it's not just when you come to town that you're able to have maybe a BVN or NIN registration. It's something that they have agents all over the place now that can actually register this unbanked people to in case they want to scale up their accounts. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ifelua. Thank you so much. I think another common question is on the issue of trust, building trust to drive mobile money services. So let me ask Mezier to speak again. I hope you don't mind. How can trust, which is a very, very important currency in ensuring effective mobile money service adoption, how can trust be built, especially for those in the rural areas?
Yeah, it is a difficult question, sir, because trust is something which is it is tied to character, it is tied to upbringing, it is tied to the ethics that the person was brought up, and this is one of the challenges that the mobile banking is facing because it doesn't have most of this formal, I can say formal files, formal procedures. And so it is one of the challenges for sure. But what I can say, maybe I can try now to shift the ball to the financial providers. For example, these startups or fintech companies or these mobile money companies, for example, Safaricom, for example, in Tanzania and Kenya. What I can try to say, I can try to shift the ball to them that when they are trying to do the banking to bring about the financial inclusion or to bring the unbanked into banked through mobile banking or mobile money, they can try to put some kind of rules which are not too tight and which are not too low for the people to default, but which are not also too tight. If they can bring some kind of regulation, for example, if you default, maybe we do 1, 2, 3. People will be a bit afraid that, okay, I should not default, okay, I should not go against, because if I go against, this will happen. I think this can help. I don't know other panelists can assist because the trust is a difficult question, but I think they can try to put kind of regulation. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I want to
I would
ask
like to touch on that,
Ishmael to
if
provide a Nigerian context to the question.
beautiful.
So, Mr. Ishmael, up to you. Thank you,
even
Mr.
going to speak on that. I was going to crave your indulgence to allow me to speak on it. Yeah. So for trust, for me, two things: the speed of the service, which will over time, speak about the reliability of the service, and number two, what happens when the service fails. I mean, if you lose your money, for example, you lose some money in your account for some reasons, or how does the provider help that customer, or what kind of support does the provider offer the customer in case these things happen? Trust is built over time, right? And it's built based on events and the outcome of those events. So for the first thing which I mentioned, which is the speed of the service, you trust the service that delivers. Dr. Sunday mentioned something earlier about Revolut, right? Revolut is widely trusted in Europe, for example, because of the speed of transaction. We've had people talk about it. we've seen people, people have personally experienced it. And so over time, Revolut has been able to build trust. Now Revolut is running an ad in Ireland now, encouraging people to move their salary accounts to Revolut. Because in Ireland, Revolut is allowed to operate like a regular bank. It has, an IBAN number, as we call it. So it's something that is built over time. The performance of the service will, address the trust. Then the second part about the support systems offered by the provider. I know many of these things are regulated by law, and I'm trying not to digress, but I'll still go back to the education bit. Many of these things are regulated by law. For example, in Nigeria, we have an agency responsible for such, which is the NDIC, right? An NDIC more provides like an insurance on your bank account. If you are banking with an organization and the organization the bank folds up, for example, NDIC will reimburse a certain amount of, a certain percentage of the money you saved in that bank. Even though, I don't want to go into details of that law, but even though what the NDIC provides is not very commensurate, especially for, high net worth individuals, it provides something that can, be improved upon. So that's just an example. So mobile money providers need to be mandated on providing support for, fraud victims, for example. If you mistakenly transferred money to somebody else, which would be a major issue for, people with little financial inclusion, how do we recover that money? Or how fast can we recover that money? Or how much of that money can be recovered? So these are the things that mobile money service providers can look at. And, regulatory bodies can also strengthen policies around this, and also have the customers, educate the customers on what support system is available to them in case, we have failure of some of these services. And that will go a long way into fostering trust in the use of these services and to aid financial inclusion overall. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ishmael. Thank you very much for that explanation. Dr. Sunday, there's a question I would like to answer in the chat box. And I think Mwagala said a few things about it earlier, if I can remember. The question is, what are the broader economic implications of the unbanked population hoarding cash and refusing to utilize banking services, despite still actively transacting with this money outside of formal banking system? Does this informal circulation of money still contribute to economic activities? And if so, to what extent?
Thank you very much.
That, Dr. Sunday?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
It's a little bit tricky question, and I'm going to answer it in two ways. As I mentioned earlier, in some country, it's not allowed to hoard money. If they get to know that you are hoarding money, you are going to get ticket for that. You will pay heavily for that act. So, but in some of the country in Africa, we have laws, we have policies, but they are not effective, because those that are implementing and those that are supposed to bring people to book, they do sometimes overlook some of these flaws in the society. Now, the first question we need to ask ourselves is that if I don't have skeleton in my cupboard, there should be a limited amount that I can keep at home for emergency's sake. That is allowed, that is good. But to be keeping cash above, thousands of millions of naira, I don't know the limitation now. It could be very, very tricky. Now, for our economy now in Nigeria, for example, I'm not sure it's the best time to even to be keeping money either at home or to be keeping money in the bank for so long, because the money will become useless because of the devaluation of Naira. The thing is going down all the day. The bank will be removing the charges from time to time. And apart from that, we are not making any contribution. What we need now is to position ourselves as entrepreneurial country and to create an entrepreneurial society where we can circulate our money. We release the money into the society to get it back. And we use the money to help a lot of people. For example, now, E86 Limited is an organization and they are trying to help some people. They need to employ people, they need to get money, and they need to pay money out. So money is coming in and going out. So cash flow is just what we need now, rather than to make money to be stagnant, keeping at home, doing nothing there. But this is common with the politician. I may not be right, because they need handy cash all the time to give to people. So they tend to keep money more than any other people. There are the people in the rural area also, since they don't have access to financial services, they tend to keep their money in their houses where they are living. So that is why we are here on this platform today, to help them to find solution to all these problems. How can we help them? If there's no electricity, if there's no internet, if there's no mobile penetration, maybe we are going to have a bank agency banking, so that the people can just go to them and they will do the transaction and they will reach them from time to time, and they can create hub that cater for number of villages or number of cities where people can converge at a point in time to do their financial services. This will really help. And I'm going to talk about this later if we have the opportunity, because we are still coming back to education. I didn't mean some of us have the education, we have the knowledge from the beginning when we have started primary one and they've introduced financial into the curriculum of the school system. It will really help us to know when to keep money at home and how to keep money at home and the extent of the money we can keep at home, and when to keep our money in the bank, and when to spend our money, when to invest our money, and when to save our money. So this will really help us. So we still go back to education, that we need to set things right, that we need to begin to educate our children. We need to begin to educate our graduates. We need to begin to educate the people, the farmers, the peasants, people in the society on how to understand the importance of financial education. Thank you.
Dr. Sandra, are you still there?
Yes, I'm with you. So I just end the discussion now.
Oh, okay, thank you. So, and you have kind of answered the next question I wanted to ask you about the role of educational institutions. I wanted to merge it to the question in the chat box on how we can break the ice with those who are unbanked to get them to appreciate the positives of being banked. So I don't know, do you still want to talk about that, or can just
on the role
thank
you very much.
Institutions to
I
contribute
saw
to building this time.
in South Africa that they introduced stars.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me. Can anybody hear me, please?
Yeah, I can hear you
Yes,
now.
we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I would still love to talk about this financial literacy. That how do we take it to the rural areas? People leave rural areas to come to the urban area for good education, for exposure. But what about the people that have been living their life since they were born in the village and they don't have the opportunity to come to the urban area? So we need to educate them also. We need to take care of them, that they have this understanding of financial literacy. In South Africa, they introduced Star Saver. They pick the children as they are growing from primary one. They started introducing to them financial literacy. What they did is that they put some video together on financial literacy, in a way that little children can understand what they are talking about. So they start with them at that level. So by the time they begin to grow, it will solve a lot of problems for them. They will be free from fraudsters. They will be free from wrong decision in making some investments. They will be free also in deception that somebody, because they are used to this training, this knowledge, this understanding from childhood. So that is what we are missing. If we miss it as a point, look at the disruption of cryptocurrency. Yeah, people focus on cryptocurrency and they abandon blockchain technology, that they don't know that they can use blockchain technology also to accomplish a lot of things in their life. They can create some projects, and cryptocurrency, some of them did not have the financial literacy. They just jump into it because you can become quick richly. Please buy crypto, sell crypto, do this, and before they started trading, they started doing a lot of things. Before you knew it, they run bankrupt. They couldn't sustain it for long and they started regretting. So literacy is very, very crucial. We need to take it. I will recommend that the government need to introduce financial literacy into schools and university curricula so that people will understand what financial literacy means in different languages, so that students can choose any language they feel they are comfortable with to learn about financial literacy. So this will really help and it will take us to the next level. So we need education at different levels of education, at different levels in our different countries in Africa. This will surely help us. So some people, they have introduced a lot of this model. I was surprised when I saw that in Kenya, they have a School of Monetary Studies, and it was their central bank that really orchestrated this vision. They have School of Monetary Studies. You can study at diploma level, you can study at master's level. They were teaching people about investment on agriculture, financial freedom, and some other courses like that. That is a very good one that we can look to. So to come to the level of the people in the rural areas, we need to teach them in the language they best understand. I will stop at this juncture. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Teaching at the level that they can understand for those in the rural area. Thank you very much. Ms. Ifelowa, I noticed that you responded to the question on broader economic implication. Would you like to speak further on that? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Having cash, right? So I believe that it reduces financial inclusion activities because it's going to be missed opportunities on the individuals who are unbanked because they are actually putting the cash with them. They are keeping the cash with them. And it also reduces the access to banking services that can help perpetuate economic inequality. Also, there's going to be limited access to formal lending, whether micro lending or macro lending. So it means that these individuals will have to rely on informal lending mechanisms, which usually come with higher interest rates or less favorable terms. And well, for their businesses, it might be a bit stunted because the credits they actually need to grow might not be something they would have access to. Then talking from the banking perspective, there's also the lower savings rates because imagine if you have that money in a financial institution or even with a mobile money agent like Money Point or something, you're going to be having interest rates on that cash, but keeping it at home or hoarding it won't give you that interest rate. Also, there's the risk of security, right? It's insecure due to theft or disaster, and then they might end up losing all of that. Then maybe on a larger scale, it might also cause reduced tax revenue, right, for the government. So, and then monetary policy, of course, because the regulators, the CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, would not be able to, have control over that money because it's outside the formal banking system. Yeah, I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So there's another question for you in the chat box that just popped up. That's from Henry. Henry said, you discussed account tiering in Nigeria. Would you say it has moved the needle in terms of banking the unbanked, like having different tiers of account, tier 1 to tier 2 and likes? Would you say it has moved the needle in terms of banking the unbanked? Then do you want to speak quickly on that?
Yes, I would say yes, it has, right? Because a lot of people that don't have the basic requirements to open a proper account, to be honest, the requirements are quite long. You need your passport, you need a lot of things to open a proper account. So yes, the tiering has actually helped to bank a lot of the unbanked, especially in the rural areas. And for those banks that are really into retail banking, like the likes of GT Bank and all of that, you at tier 1 accounts today. And then when these account holders scale up their transactions, they can always, upgrade the accounts for them, like I mentioned earlier.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mwagala, are you still with us?
Hi, yes, I'm still
Yeah.
with you, but for now,
Yeah.
I'll ask if I'll use my audio only. I think my video is reducing my
No
network
problem.
bandwidth.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, what would you say are some possible solutions beyond just usage of smartphones for reaching individuals who lack access to advanced technology and facilitating their participation in digital financial ecosystem? Did you get my
Sorry, come
question?
again? No,
I said,
please say it again.
now, beyond just access to smartphones or usage of smartphones, what possible solutions do you think are available for reaching individuals who lack access to advanced technology? And what solutions do you recommend for facilitating their participation in digital financial ecosystem?
Okay,
Did you get
thank
that?
you. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay.
And I'll use my experience here. I think that community engagement is very, very important. The issue of trust has come up a lot. The issue of education has come up a lot. And one of the ways to address this is via community engagement. There are some things in research that there are some studies in research, for example, that previously the community was not really open to, or because of one or two things were not accepted. But when there was this community engagement, when there was this bottom-up approach, things were easier. When we get into these communities through the gatekeepers, for example, if there's a headman or there's a community chairperson, I think such things will really help to break the barriers of trust, break the barriers of where people don't really understand what's going on. And also having maybe mobile money champions, for example. This particular rural area has 2 or 3 and these are people right from their community, and they're coming and saying, oh, hey, there's this thing, I've used it, it has worked, maybe you could try it. I think that's one of the ways to allow people who've got even the most basic phone to access some of these services. So beyond just withdrawing money, maybe saving the money, like here in Zambia, you can pay for, there's a certain solar company, and so you buy units for your battery, and you can use that for your electricity. You can use it to pay like that. There are certain agricultural inputs that people get on a long-term lease, and so they can use mobile money to pay for that. And so if they have USSD, if it's not just functioning on an app, that means that somebody with a basic handset, a basic phone, is able to pay bills, is able to, send money maybe to somebody in another place. They don't have to travel long distances to go to another place. So coming to them with ideas like that, I think it will be more acceptable. And also I think paper-based solutions could work for those that are able to write, or maybe setting up a kiosk or a community access point, a community center that is equipped with these digital tools. And so people could just come there and, if they're saving, if they want to check the interest rates, if they want to transact, they could come to that kiosk. I think this could be a bridge to that gap. And then also in some of these rural areas, there are radios. And so people could use radio to just speak about these things, and this could bridge the gap, provide updates, provide share promos and things like that. And also in some of these communities, there are local organizations that are already functioning there. There are local organizations that are already working there. Maybe there are organizations for women, maybe there are organizations for children or education organizations. So having collaborative efforts with these organizations that are already there, that are already known, helping to establish networks with the locals of the areas. And lastly, I think digital literacy training via these avenues that I have talked about. Having traveled around my country, going to rural areas, I now know that language is not a barrier to certain things. We can break the barriers by using a different language. Sometimes these things they are heavy in English. And for some people, they feel inferior. They feel defeated just when they see that this thing is in English. Then they are like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I match up to this. So if we can, convert some of these things to a local language, I think they'll be more acceptable. I think they'll be more accessible. I think it will help to expand the digital literacy of the people in the rural areas. Yeah, so I think implementing a combination of these solutions.
Thank you, Mwangala.
Yeah.
Thank you. They need to convert to deploy local languages in deployment of in the provision of these services. Thank you very much. Mr. Ishmael, I have a quick question for you, and I think Ifeoluwa would also provide insight into the question. So, what are the current trends in financial markets that could impact development of a digital financial ecosystem for African unbanked population? What are the current trends in the financial markets that could impact development of a digital financial ecosystem for Africans unbanked population? Mr. Ishmael will speak on it, then if you can also provide further insight on it too. Thank you.
Sorry, Sammy, did you say
Did you get
trends or trend?
Trends.
Okay, could you repeat the question again, please?
What are the current trends in the financial markets that could impact the development of digital financial ecosystem for Africans unbanked population? What are the current trends in the financial market?
Oh, okay. If you ask me, the current financial trend, the current trends that would impact the unbanked population, in my own personal opinion, is the continued so we have financial products are presented as elitist products or services, if you ask me, if as against being presented as social services. Banking is fast becoming a lifestyle. People talk about the different banking services they have. I use, Revolut. No, I don't have Revolut. I use Wise, something hip and trendy. Meanwhile, banking services are, as we see them now, are more of social services. The effect of not lack of access to banking services could have a chain reaction on a lot of things. If you don't have a bank account, for example, there are certain services you should not be able to access. Yeah, but we the banks, the financial institution can go a long way into providing products that are tailored into satisfying these social needs, which is part of what we are talking about today, which is the financial, which borders around all the financial inclusion conversation. But generally, banking is fast becoming a lifestyle. Bank credit cards are advertised with some sort of lifestyle attached to it, which people in the unbanked population can only look up to, can only fantasize about, right? Meanwhile, there are other social services that banking services would allow customers to have access to. Yeah, so I think some of these things need to be watered down a bit, and to be tailored to need and not lifestyle. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ishmael. Over to you, Ms. Ifeoluwa.
Yeah, so for me, the trends would be, we've been talking about mobile money services since platforms like M-Pesa in Kenya, they've revolutionized how unbanked have access to financial services, allowing users to conduct transactions, save money, and access credit through their mobile phones. And I also believe one of the panelists talked about the USSD. And then there's also the advent of the new banks. In Nigeria, we have the likes of OPay, MoneyPoint, PalmPay, having a deep dive into financial inclusion through agency banking. You see them everywhere in all nooks and crannies. Now, talking about fintech innovations, right, about the technology behind all of this, we've seen trends in blockchain, in AI and machine learning for faster transactions. In Nigeria, we have Zone that makes agency banking and POS transactions quite faster based on blockchain technology. And there was also the trend of open banking, where we can have where third parties can exchange APIs in a very seamless way and fostering competition and innovation. We've also seen a lot of partnership between banks and fintechs, technology providers, and all of that. Then I also say that financial literacy, it is very key, like we've been saying, very, very, very key. People need to understand what they need to use in their local languages. They need to be able to interact. They need the comfort that, this product that we are giving you, it is safe. Your money is safe with us. And how else can we take a deep dive with that? Word of mouth, if we get it right with the first person, the person, keeps cascading it till it gets to everyone in that vicinity. Then there's also the trend of microfinance and micro insurance, micro loans as well, offering small, easily accessible loans to individuals and small businesses so that they could grow and also contribute to the economic activity of the country. I already spoke about partnerships and collaboration, and also leveraging data through user testing, through feedback, and all of that. Having iterative development, based on user feedback of platforms and of financial inclusion. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you. So just as a follow-up, what strategies would you recommend for effectively integrating user feedback into the development of digital financial products to ensure that they meet the needs of the unbanked population? Did you get that?
Okay, so yes, I did. I'm going to start with community engagement, right? Engaging with community leaders and influencers, local influencers who can provide, feedback and help advocate for the product. There's also regular user testing, right? Conducting frequent usability testing sessions with real users from the target demographic just to, get actionable insights and all of that. Nothing beats a first-hand feedback, right? Also utilizing surveys and maybe focus groups to collect, detailed feedback on user experience and preferences. That would also help to improve the product, giving people what they actually want to have, right? I would also say feedback channels, right? Establishing easy to use or easy to access feedback channels.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. I think someone has to be muted. Okay, so feedback channels like establishing easy to access and easy to use, feedback mechanisms within products and all of that. Thank you.
Hi, Sammy, your mic is muted. We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So I said Felua mentioned the need for collaboration, community engagement in pushing forward this ecosystem. So are there any specific successful models of public-private partnership driving financial inclusion in emerging African economics that you can share with us?
Yes, so a
Okay, thank
typical
you.
one
You
is
proceed.
yes, so a typical one, right, is I'll say Money Points, right? Money Points has been able to really penetrate that unbanked sector. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I
Okay.
can.
Yes, so they've been in Nigeria, they've been able to penetrate that unbanked sector. And aside from that, they've also had they've also had reduced pricing for their products, right? Which is way lower than what traditional banks would give today. Their transactions are also faster. So basically, a lot of these new banks, right, are really helping with this penetration activities in unbanked areas.
Thank you. Meziat, would you like to also share an example that you're familiar with?
Yes, thank you. About partnership.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the partnership is very important between private sectors and public, between the government, financial institutions, private sectors, public institutions. It is very important because even these startups or financial institutions that are responsible to provide to give to provide financial inclusion, they cannot do it by themselves. They need to cooperate with the government, and the government has its role to set the sound policies for these businesses, which are financial institutions. And the government, for example, Madam Wangala said about the electricity problem in Zambia, which is the main problem in most of our countries in Africa. This is all about the government. So if the government now do its part, make sure the electricity is available, and these now financial institutions will go ahead and do their part of providing financial institutions to the people. So I think partnership is really a key if we are to achieve this financial inclusion in our community. And this is already, at least we have some examples of even in your country, Nigeria, about BVN, this bank. BVN is what is bank identification number, something like that.
Verification number.
Exactly. So this is it is a result of partnership between the Central Bank of Nigeria and the other financial institutions or other banks. And so it brings this kind of partnership, it brings a little bit of easy, and it simplifies the process of people opening their accounts. It reduces some of the bureaucratic procedures. It saves time. And we have even another example in Ghana where the government is partnering with financial institutions, especially startups, in the mobile money specifically, to assist the farmers, the local smallhold farmers. This is very important. Even in Kenya, in Tanzania too, we have the common company, which is Safaricom. So Safaricom, what it does, it partners with the government to ensure that there is financial inclusion. I mean, there is financial inclusion in terms of mobile money banking. So I think I think the issue of partnership is very important if we are to achieve this, the financial inclusion in our communities. There should be a signage of partnership between the government and the community itself and the financial services, financial providers. So I think it's very important because the companies cannot do it alone. The government itself cannot do it alone. So we need this kind of partnership and working together to bring up the main goal that we want of including all the people financially. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Maziat. Dr. Sunday, following the boom in funding for the tech ecosystem during the pandemic in 2020, we have seen like a decline in funding, especially for tech in Africa. What advice would you give for entrepreneurs and startups who are looking to attract investment for digital financial solutions for the unbanked population in Africa?
Thank you very much for the question, because all what we have been discussing.
Did you get me, Dr. Sunday?
Yes, please. Can you hear me?
Okay.
I'm
yes,
responding
I can hear
to
you now.
already. Okay, thank you. Yeah,
okay.
I said
Did
thank
you get my
for
question?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
So money is very important.
Okay.
It's what brought us to this platform today. It's money. So funding is there, but the challenge is highly competitive. And number one, we should be confident of ourselves in Africa that we can do it. Nothing special. And we can get all this funding. We just need to compete. So for us to achieve that, the startup needs to develop a very strong value proposition proposal. This is the most important thing. They want to know the problem you want to solve, especially if it is international funding. In Africa, naturally, we talk a lot. They don't need most of our story. It's just question and answer. What are you up to? What have you done before? What can you do again? So that is the most important thing that concerns them. So we need to articulate the problem or the solution we are trying to create. And we need to demonstrate how we are going to go about it, because people there want to be sure that they are giving the money to the right person. And the process of giving the money to the right person is rigorous. And you just need to write reports to show what you have done with the money. It's not that you are paying back like loan. So we need to showcase our success story. We need to mention some of the things that we have done in line with what we are planning for. Many startups miss it because they did not read the content of the call. And I used to tell the students that many students will have gotten A, but because they will not pay attention to instruction, they will miss it. Immediately the student gets the script, they prepare for the exam, and they are so anxious that they want to pour everything in their brain down, and they forgot to go through the question, the rules of the examination, and in the process they miss it. The same thing with funding. So they need to really study and highlight all the important aspects of the call. What is the call all about? There's always a theme that the funder is focusing on. If it is on mobile money, you should know that what you are doing is related to mobile money. They want to look at the team in the organization, if they have the expertise to implement that project that they claim they want to work on. So the team composition of the team also really matters. For example, if we are applying for mobile money funding, there's nothing wrong to have people from other fields if those fields are related to the funding that we are applying for. So all these things, they are very important. Also, we should be able to have a international funding tracker where we have the name of the funder, the time that the application will come out, the deadline. One challenge with us also in Africa is that we don't pay attention to deadline at times. And 1 second, we miss it already. There's no excuse we can give. That is all. We need to wait for another call. So that is very important. We pay attention to the deadline, and we have a tracker that we create by ourselves. We can do that on a Excel sheet, and we can just put the name of the funder, the time the application will be out, the time it will close, how much, then when are they going to release the results. Then we read the call, we extract the most important part of the call, and if we have a group, we come together and we brainstorm on it. Who will do what? And if we have people in the house that are good in finance, automatically they will help us to work on the budgeting. So automatically, these are the aspects that I will want to touch on. So the idea itself is very important. It should be innovative. Then the crafting of the application is very important, because as we want to get the funding, others also want to get it, and it is highly competitive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So the time is after 12. So instead of asking any further question, I'll just ask the panelists to give a closing remark. So not more than 30 seconds each, if possible, 20 seconds. So I'll start just based on the name on my screen. Maziet, can you quickly give us a closing remark? Then I'll move to, then we have Dr. Sunday next, then Ifeoluwa, then Ishmael, then Mwagala, and we're good to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It has been an honor, and I've learned a lot from this discussion. Well, my closing remark is that we keep on having such these debates and platforms, because this way we are at least trying to raise awareness. And yeah, I think we keep on having something like this, and next time we should put some strategies to make available, such platforms to many people, so that we can raise awareness about financial inclusion, because as most of the panelists discussed, the education is the key. Most of them don't understand, and they are not aware. So through these platforms and discussions, we are raising awareness about financial inclusion, and finally we'll be there. So that's my remark, to have most of these discussions. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So many thanks to the organizer of this program. My closing remark will be that we need change management to prevent change resistance. If all what we have been discussing since is going to work, and we are going to take mobile money to another level, we are going to promote financial inclusion. So we need to emphasize change management in order to prevent change resistance. And what we need to do is just to plan, we need to prepare, we need to communicate, we need to have stakeholder engagement, we need to train, we need to develop, we need to monitor and evaluate all our efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. So summary, we need change management to prevent change resistance. Thank you very much, Dr. Sunday. Ms. Ifeoluwa.
Thanks once again for having me here. My closing remark will be for us to commit to continue our efforts to innovate and collaborate and ensure that the benefits of mobile money reach every corner of our society. I know it's not a one-man thing, right? But I believe that together we can have a more inclusive financial ecosystem that empowers individuals and drives economic growth. And I'll actually like to start seeing a lot of people actualizing what we have been saying. A lot of us just talk. We have this kind of webinars, we have speaker events and all of that, but nothing is really happening, so to say. I would like to see the actualization of all these discussions going forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope any tech bro here is taking note of that, because together we can create a more inclusive financial ecosystem. Mr. Ishmael, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. It's been an amazing session, and for me, my final notes will just be a word of caution for the players and stakeholders in the financial industry, right? That our perception of CSR should change from philanthropy, just throwing money around, sponsoring colorful events, to actually having initiatives that will foster real social impact, sustainable practice in the product, in the technology, in the applications, in the use of data, privacy, confidentiality. It should be an it should be an overall strategy addressing all these areas. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for stressing the need for caution in providing these services. Thank you, Mr. Ishmael. Over to you, Wangala.
Thank you. So I think we've been very in the discussion. My closing remarks will be to have inclusive discussion with somebody who is from the unbanked relation we are talking about, like one, inviting them to talk about their perspectives and the thoughts and to engage them after this information gets to them, and we can have the opportunity to engage with them, hear from them, learn from them, and plan further that way. So yeah, you.
Okay, thank you, Wangala. I could not hear what you said clearly. I think it was breaking on my end. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you to my amazing panelists. It has been a beautiful session. I enjoyed myself. I don't know about you. And thank you to E86 for this tech exchange. You guys are doing a great work, and it's a pleasure to be part of this work. To everyone listening to us, thank you. And just as the common phrase in debate in Nigeria, we hope that we have been able to convince you and not confuse you on the issues around unbanked population, provision of mobile services. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a beautiful day ahead. Over to you, Damilare.
Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Sami. Thank you so much, our panelists, our amazing panelists, for bringing your wealth of knowledge into the webinar. I mean, we've learned a lot. I can speak for everybody. And thank you so much, Mr. Sunday. Thank you so much, Ms. Yet, Mr. Ismail, and Mrs. Ifeoluwa, and every other person and Nwangwala, yes. Thank you so much for giving us your wealth of knowledge. And we'll hope that from here, a lot of people would have learned. And also, from here, they'll become great evangelists of this topic, because it's not being spoken enough. I mean, I'm sure that if we had more time, we would have given room for many people to still speak and ask more questions, disturbing questions. Thank you so much, everybody. And we hope to have you join us again for another webinar sometime in the future. Thank you. Please do have a lovely weekend. God bless us. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.